it's a short beach trip. There's plenty of other anglers down on the beach, but nobody's catching anything that I can see. Am I going to join them? Let's get down to the beach and get some of that salt air in our nostrils. Well, after all, it's got to be better than one of those lateral flow tests, isn't it? Right guys, I'm in a rush. I'm down here on Chesil Beach. Not windy than I thought it would be. Well, isn't the forecast always? Just going to give it a go for about 4 hours. I've just missed high water, probably missed the mackerel, but I'm going to be fishing with a jumbo North Atlantic prawn, unpeeled. I've no idea what it's going to catch. I should have had a pennel rig on it. I'll show you how I'm doing it in a minute, but I've got to get bait in the water. Absolutely, it's got to get thrown out. Let's get cracking. Of course, half an hour's time I won't be quite so enthusiastic when there's no bites. I went to the local tackle shop, they're shut. So I've got no worms. I've got one mackerel that Mike gave me, been in the freezer since this time last year. Just the prawns. I'll have a go spinning, feathering, see if I can get a bit of fresh bait. Got to be in it to win it, guys. I'm going to get this other rod out first. Once I get the bait rods out, I'll be happy. So, rig I'm using, let's dig a weight out here first. I'm only going to be fishing relatively close, no big long casting. I'm going to put a grip on. They're fairly small tides, I understand, but I still need to make sure my bait's anchored out there, so I'm using grip wires, a pulley, single hook pulley pennel rig, just clipped on the lead here. Look at our rigs and knots and whatever we got up. If any beginners, they'll see the pulley panel. So that's on there. I tied my main line on there by the bead. My trace to my hook is there. Gonna have to stand this way and show you guys because the wind is ripping a bit. So basically you can see there, your hook's clipped in to the little notch there. There's my trace. So when it goes through the air and hits the water, bang, you see, look, the hook is swinging free. And onto that I'm going to put probably a combo bait. I think I might go what I've got here. I'm really stuffed because all I've got are these, which I was going to use on the boat. So they're called whole shell-on raw king prawns. Trust me, they are big. Really for boat fishing, but I've got no choice. Keep them cool in the cooler. That is a seriously big prawn. So maybe I'm going to fish a half of one of those and a piece of mackerel that I've got there. Just see if I can make a little combo bait out of this. As you can see, it's a big prawn. The bait's still fairly frozen. I've only just picked it up from Mike, just as a spare. What a good job I did. I can't believe the shop's shut. A couple of other people said they were surprised the shop shut. But there you go. So let's think we're going to use a half a bait here, like that. So I only want a piece of mackerel. And always be careful when you're cutting frozen fish, which I am. It's fine for baiting with, you know, because it's frozen. Everything back in the cooler, and especially with prawns and mackerel, because you want to preserve them, keep them fresh. Once they go soft, you're going to have problems. And I'm going to probably have 3 hours fishing. That's all I'm going to get in. I'm going to have to try and spin some bait up. The other thing I do, stop it spinning in the air, just nip the tail off there. Hopefully you guys are getting this. Just the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to go in through here, roll it around, if that makes sense, just following almost the shape of the prawn body. There's a hook sticking at the bottom, and then onto the back of that I'm going to put this piece of mackerel, but I'm going to cut just a small V in it, and the reason for that being, that's very rounded, the shape of the prawn there, so that way that V just slots over the back like that, and I'll get my bait thread and lash it on and keeping my hook point clear. I'm going to fish this one pretty well close, maybe just 40 yards, because it's high water here at Chesil. It is very deep at high water. Certainly fishable at the back. Well, I'll get my long lens camera out and show you. It's heaving down there. There's so many people. I'm lucky I got a piece away from people. So many anglers there. Loads of them this time of year will be after mackerel. I wouldn't mind an early cod myself. Of course, that's sort of in the realms of fantasy now, isn't it? Now, once small fish start to nibble away on this prawn, it's quite a soft bait. So I've got a good bit of bait thread around there. It's basically a gob of fishy goodiness. So there you go, peeps. That's a North Atlantic prawn and mackerel skin combo bait. I've no idea what's going to eat it. I'll settle for anything today. Let's get it out there. Oh. This guy's turning up all the time. Okay, check the drag. So look, just where you got it here, just clip it in the bend of the hook. It just gets you a little bit of it. Extra distance here. I thought, what a tap then. I thought ebbing the tide to go this way, but with the wind it's pushing the line against it, so it should be fairly static. So let's just lob it out there. And I'm going to put some small hooks out as well. Wow, that wind's clear water, but it might be a bit rough for mackerel. Let's just lob this one out there. Boom, that should disengage. A lot of time fish are just going to be in that backwash there. So let's only just hit the bottom. Back we go. I do like a bit of beach fishing, even though I catch next to nothing, like most people on the beaches. We're all struggling, we're all in the same boat. Well, no, we're all in the same beach. If I was in a boat, I'd be catching tons more. Again, beginners, just check that drag. Some big stuff swims around off Chesil. Just in case anything grabs it, make sure it's buried well in the back there. And now I can relax somewhat, have a sandwich, let the rods do their stuff. I'm in at about 11:45. So I'm going to get a good 5 hours in, with a 4 or 5 hours depending on the weather. Cloudy, overcast. You're not going to see any fish breaking the surface, but look, the number of anglers out tells you they're as expectant as I am. This one's going to be my anytime rig. I've just made this one up. Plain lead at the bottom, 50-pound mono, tie a loop in the line, snip one of the loops, so you just got your hanging droppers there, and I've got probably size 4s and 6s freshwater hooks on there, and I'm going to alternate between a tiny piece of mackerel and a tiny piece, I mean small, size of your thumbnail, of the prawns, and you're just lobbing it in the back of the wave line. I might have to go to a grip lead depending on the undertow that's down there. Now with prawns, certainly small ones, if you're going to use small segments, you're going to find, I feel, this is how I do it, you'll get a better cut peeling them. So I'm only looking for small bits. So I just peel this one. I leave the shell on when they're whole because I feel it holds the meat together better, but I'm only going to be using, look, just tiny pieces. Just like that. That's a good piece. Look at the juice and guts coming out of that. There's another wasp. I've already killed one. Obviously going to have a battle with the wasps today. Wasp wars, I'm going to call it. Clear off. I'm hoping that might even get a bit of sun coming out. I'm going to use that tiny piece of meat there. No, I'm not. Let's throw that piece of meat away. That might even be attracting the wasps. I'm going to take off here. God, I come with one mackerel. I find it hard to believe, folks. Hard to believe. Going to have to eke this bait out. Keep that chilled. Use my Mike's cart barrel to drag it all over the shingle. That's quite fun, actually. If anybody wants to carry 50 pounds of equipment across loose shingle, it's entertaining on the knees. That's all I'm doing. Now that there is supposed to be white bait for mackerel, and this can be for anything at all, whatever wants to take it. This they're tricky to get on the hook, and they won't stand up to long casting, guys. So if you're using Atlantic prawns, king size ones, the only one you might wang out there any distance is going to be a whole one lashed on. Segments like this are just for fishing close in. So you can gather I'm sort of just basically getting the best I can off this, because there could be bream out there or something like that, and they would relish a piece of this prawn, I can tell you. Okay, to make sure that hook point's showing there. There it is. All that remains is just give this a gentle lob at. It's a bit like a sort of string of washing there, you can see down there. Just hanging there. What will it catch? Who knows? Let's get right down closer. I literally want it the back of the wave somewhere. Even that might be too far, guys, but it's deep. So I put that in my shotgun holder, which is a piece of plastic piping just taped onto the just in there, just on the inside. Drag loose because of small hooks, and that just can sit there. Just sit there and see what happens. Now, I don't know whether to put up my bivvy like everybody else has bivvies up, or get spinning. I think I've got to put a set of feathers out, people. I'm going to be using, these are called SeaTech Daylight 4-hook sea trays. Just look, basic mackerel feathers. And I'm not going to use a weight like most people just put a lead weight on and cast out. I'm going to use a lure. These are whatever they are, I don't even know, but you get them in a pack of 5. If I can open them, fine. If I can't, oh, there you go. I like green. It's also the first one in the packet. So I'm going to tie a set of feathers on, and then when I cast out, I'm using, this is my casting weight. I won't get a long way, but very often you will get a bigger mackerel on that. So you doubled up. You've got the feathers here, and you've got the lure to work as well. So there you can see I just clip the lure on. There's my feathers. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to throw those out and work them. I don't know if there's any mackerel. I'm looking at 3-4 birds down there. They've suddenly appeared from nowhere. And whether somebody's just baiting up or cleaning something, I don't know. Have to wait and see what comes along. And here, hopefully, no dogs to bother me. I'm bothered by the wasps immensely. They're going to be a pain. It's 2-0 at the moment until I get stung. 2-0. Wasps are down 2. Wasps down 3 and buried. 3-0. Wait till one stings me. Here's some birds. One bird up here. Probably won't get out far enough, but we'll try. First few casts, I like to clear the line off the spool without getting snagged. Check your drag. thing is, using the lure instead of the lead, you can actually work it like a lure and still get a chance of a fish. There's some big waves coming in now. Just got to wait for the fish to be chased in by the mackerel. I've missed the tide. Most people came here early in the morning for the tide. I've missed that, but you never know. You've got to be in it to win it. Now you can do long sweeps, long sweep, and let the spoon flutter down there. Or spinner. It's not actually a spinner, it doesn't spin. I think you call it technically a spoon. And what you do is you very often get a take from a mackerel on the drop as it falls back. There's loads of guys packing up down there now because they're obviously just mackerel fishing, that's all they're after. I guess there's going to be a few that are more interested in the bigger fish, somewhat different. You either let it sink to the bottom and risk getting snagged up, here it shouldn't do. And then you can just do short jigs, and that makes a spoon flutter and jerk. And of course every jerk, and because I'm on braid, every little 3 or 4 inch jig on the rod top I do is going to be converted to the same amount of movement down the other end of the lure and the feathers. So that is the advantage of using braid. Well guys, nothing yet. I'm looking up and down the beach and haven't seen a fish caught. I think the 2 guys up to the right of me have walked a bit further, probably get away from the mackerel fishermen, and they are bait fishermen because they're not coming in and out too much. Guys mostly down that end walk straight out of the car park and just throw, well, there's a splash out there then, and just throw mackerel feathers out. But I figure if you've got bait in the water, you can still mackerel fish, can't you? You know, it's getting the best of both worlds. Or the best of no worlds, I should say, in my case. But time for a sandwich. Wrist is aching from spinning, and then I'll come back and give it another go. Well, I had envisaged, if I show you what I brought here, doing something slightly different. I had envisaged using this, a catch and cook. Yes, you'd think it would be the most easy thing to do. It would be. And I thought, I'll go down to Chesil, I'll catch a mackerel and I'll cook it on the beach. What could be more easy than that? There's one vital ingredient missing. You are indeed correct, folks. It's the mackerel. I've been spinning and spinning and spinning, working the feathers, nothing. I could put my long lens on. I've been up and down the beach, 30 odd angles down there. I have not seen a fish caught. Whether I'm going to pick anything up on the big baits, I don't know. And even they're not that big, you know, it could be dogfish or something like that. But it would be nice to get a bite, even on the baits. Nothing on the small hooks. The guy up there just snapped off. I've seen him walking backwards, towing the line. He's either got weed on or he's snagged in the bottom. That is the problem. If somebody, that's why I don't like fishing down there by the car park. Because if one guy loses a set of gear, next guy goes out, he snags it, he snags that set of gear. Oh, he breaks his off, and so on, and so on, and so on. So wherever people are, I tend to keep away because that is Snag City. Mind you, the guy up there's on his own, he's in the middle of nowhere and he's just snagged up. If it's a storm beach like this, You can see this hump here would be the last, say, biggest spring tide. That lot up there would be the last major storm we had go through with like 80 mile an hour winds. Well, I wouldn't be standing here, I'd be underwater. And that's, so you've got two. You've got the standard sort of beach here, and it goes down, and then big storms push up, well, millions of metric tons of shingle. It moves it all around, takes it out, washes it back. But the thing is, I'm looking down there with the lens. Normally you would see the birds working, you know, but the birds that are down there are herring gulls. The ones you want to be looking for, if you're looking for mackerel, are terns, because they feed on the little fish like this, the white bait, and the small fish that the mackerel drive to the surface and into the margins. I've seen no terns working whatsoever. And the only ones I've seen, a few clusters of gulls, have been herring gulls, and that could be guys stripping bait off and throwing it away, because they're more scavengers. They're not, you know, major fish eaters in respect of diving down and catching live fish, whereas the tern is. Whether it'll turn around? Turn around. I like that one. Thank God I bought sandwiches. Well, I've done more wasps. I do love the wasps here. I've done an hour and a half with the bait stay clean, or rather not, they're stripped clean, so I'm now going to give them till 2, which will be, go away Mr. Wasp. I'm now going to give them till about 2 and see if the baits are stripped again, and I'll just have to keep shortening it, and if I fish less time, there's no point, patently obvious, there's no point in me sitting out there with bare hooks, is there? But at the moment, something must be stripping those baits, and I guess it's the crabs. Well guys, I've been here hours. Nothing has happened along the entire stretch of beach. It's looking pretty ominous over there. In fact, I know it's tipping down with rain. I'm going to try and give it about 30-40 minutes without getting wet. I don't need to pack up and get wet, but the wind has gone round offshore a little bit. Sea's flattened off, hasn't made a blind bit of difference to the fishing. It's appalling. Guys are all packing up down there, so I have not seen, zooming up and down with this lens, which goes a long way, I've seen one little fish about this big caught, I think a whiting, amongst 30 anglers. So much like Chesil, it's either full on or full off, and today it looks like it's full off. But although I was going to do a catch and cook, I've only got the prawns left to cook. I'll give you a proper catch and cook with a fish I caught previously, so I've kept one, as they say. Here's one I prepared earlier. And I'll see you on this beach in a year's time, I reckon. but it's still great to get out on the beach in the open vista. And I did say I'd do a catch and cook. Well, here's a catch and cook. This one I really did enjoy doing. And where was it? Not on a beach. This one was on a boat. Right, food prep time, boys. It's gone a bit quiet. If I do this, guaranteed one of these rods is going to belt over. There's a second cutting board here of dubious origin, but I've washed it. I've washed my knife. Alright. These have still got, I can feel they've still got ice in them. So I'm going to cut a couple of these up. Wash Mr. Mackerel. Now I'm going to take a fillet off him because they do not get any fresher than this. Look at that, guys. I wonder if I could eat 3 of those prawns. I better keep a bit for bait. So I'm going to cut the head off the prawn. Voila. Tail off. Peel the shell. And I pull the legs out. Not quite sure how long you cook prawns for. It can't be much different to fish. Does anybody out there know prawns? I know they normally cook them in a wok, don't they? The shells and the bits go you know where for fish chum. I cut them just behind the head and the guts there. You see there's a segment there. Oh, there's the guts. I don't really need to eat prawn guts. I'm amazed the rod hasn't gone off. I'm covered in gunk. You think a rod would have gone off. I'm keeping the. I will have another one because by the time you take the head off, they're actually not as big as you think they are. Just there. See the dark goes to light. So there's 3 heads there for bait. Somebody would probably say, "Oh no, mate, you're doing it wrong. You cook with the shell on." I don't think you do. I think you peel them, and I think I used to run my finger along there and just wash out any of the gunk in the backbone. So we'll wash these. Crush the microphone, you stupid child game. Right, so they're ready. Then all I'm going to do is take a fillet off. Carefully here. Wash my knife. Again. That's as clean as we're ever going to get to see here, I feel. Just run our knife along there. Just about feel the bones. I like to feel the bones there. Not so easy filleting with the boats moving, rocking and rolling. I always find it strange you tend to be able to fillet well one side and not the other. That's me personally saying that. I think it's because you've got the weight of the fish cavity. There's a bit of meat on there, but listen, a couple of fillets there. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to fry them skin on. Survival fishing. These are now ready for the frying pan. That is now ready for the hook. Back in the cooler. Heads back in the cooler. Wash up and get frying. Oh, it's a nice flat surface. Normally I'm cooking on a beach of something. It's always crooked. I always have trouble because it's crooked. Something different here, boys. Something different. They do it on charter boats, but do they do it on self-drive boats? I don't know. Look at all that line somebody's left there, look. No, why don't you just clear it up? I don't understand that. Put it in there, the wife can clear that up. Probably going to have to hold this, I would guess, guys. Just the rocking of the boat might put the frying pan all over the place. I'm just happy to be out here, surrounded by people that think they can smell the fish, I guess. Do they want to catch fish, or do they want to eat my fish? No more bites. We don't need bites for the moment. The tide's pretty dead, that's why I'm taking a gamble. I guess you give these a bit longer than the mackerel, do you people? I don't know. Now, will they go pink? I ask myself. Well, yeah, they do, Graham. Pink, 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 pink. Have I got the gas too hot? Very difficult to trim these up. Oh, goodness me. The smell on that is just unbelievable. I guess a couple of minutes each side, guys? I don't know. No bites yet. Please, no bites yet. You know, as a fisherman, when you get tongs and a load of old fishing line. Pop the mackerel fillet in there, skin side down. Normally do it skin side down first, or do we do it flesh side down first? Answer the postcard. Turn these kiddies over. Should have had salt and pepper really, shouldn't I? But much easier on a boat than it is on the beach, I feel. And I'm sheltered here as well. Bought myself a plate, somewhere in there, a knife and fork. I wonder if I should put some of that chum in there, a little bit rubby-dubby. Oh, I haven't had my crab stick. Oh, hang on a second, I've got to have a starter. I call it a crab stick, they're actually seafood sticks. Here we go. Do you know what they taste of? Seafood. They've got these little bits of paper around them. Unwrap them. That is a good start. It's a real seafood course, this one. There we have it. Oh, the freshest mackerel I could ever have caught and cooked. North Atlantic prawns, peeled and cooked. That, boys, is fit for a king. Somebody remind me not to sit on this. It's quite warm. Oh yeah, look at that. Good taste though. And we all know, fresh mackerel, cooked on the boat, within, well, you can do it, bang it on there, cook it straight away, that's the freshest you'll get. It's just a different taste. It's a different animal. It's not like frozen ones. I did get it right. I'm not eating last year's bait, am I? No, this is a fresh one. This is a fresh one. Has anybody got a record for running on a boat? Oh, those prawns are nice and still chewing them up. I don't think it's a bream. It could be a mac. And these feathers are, you know, Billy Basic feathers. Pretty big hooks and barbs on them. Well, I was lucky to get that cooked, wasn't I, really, let alone eat it. Oh, yes, please. A cluster, but oh my God. 3 out of 4, boys, 3 out of 4. Brilliant. I could almost taste it now. Or was that the chum that I had mashed up for a shark? Anyway, I was over in Ireland recently, and while waiting to go fishing there, I glanced across at a commotion going on the corner of the pier. What was it? It was a boat being lifted out, ready for winterisation. If you haven't seen it, it might exactly explain how this is done. There's Mark's two boats there, Lady Louise and the Lady Patricia. They were just telling me I was going to have a spin, but hell of a lot of colour in the water, and they say that's the rain from up inland, which I did see when I was on the motorway coming down. Rain, wow, they must have had a lot of rain. Normally you can see right in here. I'm just watching what's going on here. Guys, are they going to lift this entire boat out? That's interesting. I think they're going to lift the whole thing out. There's the estuary we'd normally be fishing, but I figure it's going to be very, very, very coloured. Loads of birds way, way in the distance over there. Whether they're on fish or something come out the estuary, who knows. Well, see the crane arms extending up there. There's the chain. They've got a loop round there. I don't know what they're going to pick it up. Do they pick it up by the mast? Surely not. Not all that weight on that one shackle there. And what do I know about it? And then they extend it outwards. I'm filming this because the water's so coloured I don't think there's a hope in a location or anything. I think what we're going to do is lift the mast off first. So they're unscrewing all the stanchions there. So then lift the mast off and then lift the boat off. So I'm not sure what they're doing, whether they're going to lift a smaller boat here or a larger boat. I haven't really got a clue what's going on, but they got some straps there, as you can see. I'm guessing they're obviously not going to lift it. I don't know what they're going to lift. We've already got two boats to lift out, the small one and the large one. Oh, I think they can lift this small one first. I'm guessing, putting the straps underneath it. Well, he's just tensioning up the chains there. They've got the 4 straps around it. They've got the bow line on there. I'm not sure whether that should be coming off or not. It is indeed. Getting clear of the water, a little bit nose heavy. They're just adjusting the straps back a bit, or forwards a bit, I think, square it up when it's lifted. And back down it goes. Something's not right. They're not happy somewhere. They've got to get the balance right. And then they put it up in a cradle on the back there. There's a cradle that they rest it in like a sort of V figure, like this, and rest the bow in. Oh, got a bit of a swing on. Second go lifting him up. A bit squarer this time. So this one's probably being pulled out for the winter, for storms from the estuary, and you can see all the slime underneath where it's been in the river. Good job. Well, there you go, 3 films put together that might pass a little bit of time for you. It's going to be a long winter otherwise. I've got more stacked up to show you. Keep watching. And don't forget, hit the subscribe button, the like button, the notification bell, and that's both channels, TA Fishing and Mike's channel, TA Outdoors. We'll see you in the next episode.